So Doctor Who's 60th anniversary has finally come to an end. I say finally, like I was wishing it to happen. I didn't mean for that to come out like that. But there we are. The Giggle, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Chanya Button, and broadcast on the 9th of December, 2023. Was it a bang or a whimper? Over to you.
Banger. Absolute banger. There is no debate. You can have your opinions, but you're wrong.
When I say that, I get told off.
Yeah. But no, there is no debate on this episode. It was absolutely incredible.
I just adored it, to be honest. I mean, watching it a second time now, I think there's a few things which we'll get into that I'm going to need a couple of days to really like sort of get my head around and just really work out how I think of them. But as an immediate reaction, God, I didn't come away from it disappointed. I didn't come away from it, thinking it was underplayed. There were a couple of little bits I think could have been done better, but we'll go through it. I think Neil Patrick Harris put on a brilliant performance, to be honest, from that very first finally a pre-credit scene in these 60th specials that wasn't complete shit.
Yeah,
because we've had two very strong episodes so far, but I think very subpar pre-title sequences. The cold opens have not been very good, but today we finally got a really creepy one with the first broadcast on television of Stooky Bill.
It felt like old Doctor Who. Like old revival Doctor Who, like. Yeah,
proper sort of, we haven't seen the Doctor and Donna yet. It's all just, all happening here, and what's the mystery, and what's this Giggle all about? One thing I am a bit confused about is the decision for Russell T Davies to make the Toymaker a bit racist, xenophobic-y with, because he explicitly said in Unleashed that, obviously that the, originally the Toymaker's presented in quite sort of, the costume is not on. It wouldn't be on by today's standards. It's it's happened now, and you can look at it as a piece of 1960s television, but you would never do it now in 2023.
No, you'd never.
Which is fair enough. And even the Celestial has been dropped because although it does mean from the stars and everything, which is how it was used to describe the Toymaker, it is also used as a slur against Chinese people. It goes back to sort of like very British Empire kind of times where the British Empire were oppressing lots of people. So obviously that's been dropped now, but I think the decision for him to sort of, he has that conversation with John Logie Bard's assistant, whose name's gone out my head, but he says something along, you probably prefer the warmer climates and stuff because he's mixed race. And it was just a bit like, I don't see why this ethereal being would have any sort of judgment like that. It just feels a bit strange, especially in an episode where we're about to introduce the first full-time Black Doctor.
Yeah,
it was a bit like, I'd love to get someone who's a person of colour to have a put in on this, because it's very easy for us to say that, but I just thought that was a bit bizarre.
It was, but then Russell did it openly say in Unleashed he wasn't going to whitewash the character. He didn't want to do that.
Yeah,
and part of the being a villain is you do these unspeakable things, and in all fairness, it's not. I've not seen much backlash about it.
No, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's explicitly, because obviously the Toymaker is a villain. I just think logistically, the Toymaker, who is this 1,000-year-old, wouldn't have that. That wouldn't be anywhere near his head. But I can kind of get it from the fact that you don't want to just completely go, this is a white character played by a white actor and nothing ever was wrong in the past. But I think dropping Celestial just does that enough anyway, just calling him the Toy. I mean, you wouldn't in that scene where the Doctor works out who he is, you would never go, oh, the Celestial Toymaker, because it's just a bit, it feels weird, doesn't it? He's the Toymaker.
It's a bit pantomimey when you do that.
Yeah, it's like having a story of Doctor Who called The Deadly Assassin, but, I love the idea of the Giggle, that it's this thing that's driving everyone mad, but into a point where it makes everyone think that they're right. Like, it's very unsubtle political commentary, or social commentary, really, on how lots of people now will argue that they're right against everything and won't listen to anyone else, and it can get quite nasty. I mean, just look at certain corners of the fandom online at recent things like Shui Gat was casting, or the inclusion of Rose, Yasmin Finney playing Rose and everything, and
how they're going back as far as Jodie coming in.
Yeah, exactly. It's that sort of, we're right and we should be doing Doctor Who this way, and you're wrong, and however this is just wrong, and it's pandering and all that nonsense that we've talked about before. So I think it's quite funny to see what certain people like that would make of themselves being portrayed. And obviously we get like that nice parody of, I say parody, that might as well just be Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
You could have taken that clip from
anyone in government, to be honest. Not just Boris, but it did have a strong resemblance to good old Bojo.
Yeah, because fuck the Tories. But I think you could have taken that. You could have taken that bit from any sort of like Conservative Party meeting or broadcast or whatever, and just it would have fitted straight in. But Yeah, I like that. It's a shame. It was quite sad to see the Bernard Cribbins stand-in, who didn't really look a lot like him, and I was glad that he was used sparingly in framing him, so he's just out of frame. You could just because we said that in the trailer, didn't we?
Yeah.
That trailer way back, was it? It was either the Christmas one or definitely it was a Eurovision one, I think it was, where we said we can just about see the top of a flat cap there. We thought that was going to be Wilf, which it is, but not Bernard Cribbins, and I think his absence was for me a little bit in some places. Most notably the end, which we'll get to, he was missed a bit, but I like how Donna straight away is like, get him to safety, don't worry about us, doesn't matter, just get McGravit safe, and I love that.
It's a nice way of writing the character out of the story a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would have had him doing too much in terms of the main story. I imagine he was probably just meant to be at the end with the rest of the Temple Noble family and all, but I get it, and it's nice, and it's like we said last week, it's nice that we had that one scene, but yeah. The soundtrack to this. Oh, that's got to be the best soundtrack of a Doctor Who episode in ages.
Yeah.
I love the way that they've incorporated that laugh, the arpeggio, as a musical cue for the Toymaker, but also the callbacks to like the original unit theme, but then everything else in the score is just superb anyway. Oh, so good. Thank you, Murray, for being back. The 15th Doctor's theme is phenomenal. I think it might be. Now I've seen it in an episode. I think it might be my favourite.
I need it in my veins.
I think it's my. I mean, it was going to take a lot to sort of shift Eye and the Doctor from top spot for me, but I think because that was so overplayed and stuff, and I've heard it so many times, and this is quite new. I think recency bias, or maybe just the fact that I do genuinely just prefer this, takes that top spot for me. I loved it. Just it's been in my head all weekend. That and Spice Up Your Life have been in my head for the last 2 days.
Such a good scene with Spice Up Your Life, though. We'll get on to that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Mel's back.
Yes.
Who saw that coming?
We did.
Everyone, basically. But it was still really nice. I think I'm glad that we saw this knowing that she was going to be back next year. Because I think if we didn't know that and watched her in this, I'd have felt like she didn't have that much to do. But it's fine because I watched like going, well, she's here now. She's had that reintroduction. So now next year we can just have more just the Doctor and Mel just zipping about on a moped and things that we've seen. But I'm so glad that we had her in this, and for her to have, she was more there at the computer like she should be as a computer programmer, because that's what she originally was, and then never went anywhere near a computer outside of her first couple of episodes.
Yeah, and it was nice to see an reintroduction of an old companion without the, oh my god, it's you stuff.
Yeah, I quite liked that it was, because there's not that awkwardness. Like, I felt that the reaction from Jodie to seeing Tegan and Ace in Power of the Doctor, although it's a bit different because of the way that Tegan left and the way that Ace has sort of hinted at leaving, it's a bit frosty, whereas this is just straight up like they're hugging each other, they're having a laugh, and then both of them the straight hand business, like, we'll catch up later, but right now there's this to do.
We got to focus.
What do we think this Vlinks is about?
I don't know, but I kind of like it.
I like it. I just hope we see. I think Russell Lynn said in the commentary that we will see a bit more of him next year. Them. I'm just saying him because I was just straight away recognised that it was Nicholas Briggs doing the voice, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
I hope we get a bit more into like the background as to what the Vlinks is.
Yeah, is it sort of like forward? Is it a robot? Is
cyborg maybe
some sort of cyborg character that's crashed maybe and is stuck on Earth potentially? I don't know. But we get this. The idea of this Giggle is that it's driving everyone mad, and the unit have got these bands on called Xenex, that are stopping them from, falling foul to the signal that's driving everyone mad. And then Kate takes his off to demonstrate. And I love the fact that Kate is, we have to show you. She can tell you that she's uncomfortable at the fact that she has to do this, but she wouldn't ask anyone else to do it. She's like, I'll show you, but obviously is very, very much not wanting to. And I think she's so horrible in that scene, where she's getting very paranoid and she's pointing at Donna and Mel, and the way she speaks to Shirley, saying, I've seen you walking and everything, and it's like, it felt really
brutal.
It was properly uncomfortable. And then just to see the look on her face afterwards when it goes back on, and how you can tell that Shirley's really upset, but she's not upset with Kate because she knows it's not Kate's fault. But yeah, I like that. I like this new unit setup as well, the new tower with a big office and everything. That's very cool.
That helipad is brilliant.
And the fact that it was just parked in the car park of Badwell Studios as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's brilliant. Because you've still got the outdoor feel to it, but then the green screens match perfectly. And I was complaining last week about the green screens, but there wasn't a single fault with the ones in there. It looked like they were on a, however many high foot skyscraper in the middle of London.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I love that when they work out, I love that it's Donna that works out that it's the musical cue. It's quite similar to how when everyone else was with Unit in like Sontaran and Stratagem, she's the one that's sort of thinking on a more like
low-key
human level.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking more outside the box, whereas Donna's like, well, what if it's just a musical cue? And of course, Bonnie sings it, you know, because
Yeah,
you've got Bonnie there.
It's got to be done.
And I thought there's a couple of scenes that I did think were a bit jarring with the Doctor, though.
I believe I know which one you're on about. It's where he goes on a rant about how the human race is brilliant, yet savage and brutal, and just like never needed an excuse to hate each other.
It's well acted and everything, but there's just it sort of just comes like he's blaming. It's almost like he's sort of projecting it onto the people in Unit. They're the ones that are trying to fix it. I felt it just a little bit jarring, and there's a couple of things the way he speaks to Shirley sometimes. When it says something about, well, maybe Stooky Bill was cleverer than you, and it's like, well, that felt unnecessarily bitchy.
Yeah,
I know it probably wasn't meant to be, but that's how it sort of came across to me. I was a bit like, I'm not really vibing with that too much.
Well, the interaction between Shirley and Donna, when Donna's like, "Oh, say companion," it just makes you think we've parked him on the beach.
Oh, that was Mel and Donna, wasn't it? Yeah, that was good. But I want to know what happens to Mel's parents. Because all of a sudden she's been referred to as... I assume, obviously, she's come back to Earth and they've since passed away because it's been 40, 50 odd years, whatever. So she's come back to Earth. But the way she said that she's lost everything makes me feel like there's maybe something that we might get hints at next year, potentially. Because even the Toymaker sort of, when he's swinging the gun round point... It wouldn't be a video without me banging the microphone, would it?
No.
But when he's swinging the big Galvatron blaster, galvanic blast, whatever it's called, he looks at Mel and calls her the orphan. So I'm thinking, is there something more to this?
They're probably going to build on that, to be honest.
I could see it being, there's a few. That's what I like about this, is that there's enough that it's sort of, there's a few breadcrumbs dropped for what could happen over the next couple of years, and I like that with this, to be honest.
Well, it's leading straight into the next Doctor's first story and first series, so you're gonna get little breadcrumbs to keep you interested.
Yeah. It was the scene where the Doctor recognises the Toymaker.
Oh, brilliant.
Superb.
Absolutely brilliant. Nice little game of hide and seek.
Yeah, I love the bit where he's juggling and obviously getting someone. That's why Neil Patrick Harris is perfect for this, because he's such a showman, because he can do the juggling, and like apparently that later on with the companion puppets, that was him doing the puppeteering and everything.
Yeah, he's great. Like the monologue while he was doing that, then hats off to the man.
Whilst throwing the balls, but still always having three, and then all of a sudden he's just throwing more at them until Donna steps in front. And I like the switch where Donna's sort of in front of Donna going, go back to the TARDIS and everything, and then she sort of steps in front of him and is being a bit more protective of him. And I like that relationship between the two of them, that they are, although they're not, they very much feel like they are equals.
Yeah.
And they're only not because of the fact that Donna's a human and the Doctor's 1,000, or in this he says billion years old, which I think people are starting to take a little bit too seriously. I think it was more like an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've looked 1 billion times for something. You haven't looked for something 1 billion times, have you? You just maybe done half a dozen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a really cool scene. And the bit with the corridors and the puppets and everything. Oh,
brilliant.
The Stooky Sues and the Stooky Babbies, they were creepy.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like, so was that room that the Doctor got as well, where the guy who bought Stooky Bill, he played a game with the Toymaker and lost, and then has to live his life as a puppet.
Yeah,
that was creepy.
That was very cool. I just wish it had been slightly more practical, maybe a bit of more prosthetic on his face, and most of the costume being, because the costume's all puppeteered and everything, and then it's obviously him in like a blue suit or a green suit or something that's been edited out. I wish I had maybe just gone for a bit more of a prosthetic look, because it was a little bit jarring just to see, but only a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
But I love that the bit with Donna where she bashes the doll against the wall as well in front of the poor little Stooky Babbies. And this is the one thing I do with it. I wish this was more than an hour. I wish this had been 90 minutes.
Oh yeah,
because I wish there'd just been another solid sort of 20-minute segment of the episode purely just in the Toymaker's realm.
I'd love that,
with different trippy bits, and could go full horror in that bit, and really it was creepy enough anyway. I imagine there's plenty of things you could do in that situation. It's just limited by time and money and things. You can only put it on for so long. But I did like that, and the Doctor and Donna finally reuniting. There's that brilliant shot of where they hug, and then the camera pans around, and then all of a sudden they're somewhere completely different. And there's that big, huge stage that the Toymaker does.
Oh, I love it. The nice little run through catch up for those who haven't seen Doctor Who since David's last run, sort of. it's sort of a flash through, really, isn't it?
He
runs through all the companions the Doctor's had and their fate, and the Doctor's like, well, she lived to the end of her life and died after Amy was touched by a weeping angel. Clara lives in the last second of her existence, and Bill's consciousness survived.
I liked how that was quite ambiguous, because to him, her consciousness survives in that testimony module things, but whereas we know that Bill also survives through Heather.
Yeah.
And becoming the co-pilot. So it's quite ambiguous that it fills in both of those, that you see it from the Doctor's point of view, but also the audience knows that there's more to it than that as well. Did it feel a bit weird that they only mentioned Amy and not Amy and Rory, considering they both die the same way at the same time?
Yeah.
And there was no mention of Nardole, because he's basically... I always find that he's heavily implied that he's not going to make it off that ship, and he's just prolonging to maybe get more of the survivors up to the further floors. I did see a lot of people complaining that there weren't any Chibnall-era companions, and it was a bit of a snub, but... Why would there be? Because she's the first Doctor to get all of her companions to their home with their memories intact, alive. No Doctor's done that yet.
Yeah, no. Dan nearly bit it.
Dan didn't have a house.
No, he nearly copped it to the Cybermasters.
Yeah, but she's the first one to get all of her companions back to their time and place with their memories intact, alive. No other Doctor's managed that yet.
Jesus.
So, obviously they weren't going to show him in that bit, because there's no point going... I mean, maybe there could have been something about, and then there was Dan, and you left him without a house, and then there was Yasmin who broke your heart, and all that.
Or they could have brought up Ryan's dead grandmother. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Leaving them...
That would probably be...
But that almost sounds more bit that it did have a bit of a happy ending, didn't it? Because it repaired Ryan and Graham's relationship, and they... I don't know. But they mentioned the flux, and that was probably the biggest sort of emotional thing that happened to the Doctor from that era, is the fact that this hurricane that ripped through the universe was engineered because of him. That's going to be the thing that you mentioned in that case, because he's playing it, and before he even gets a chance to mention anything else, he challenges into a game of cards.
Yes.
Which he loses.
Yes, he does. And the Toymaker, is... I mean, we've missed a bit here during the monologue with the cards. The Toymaker says that he played the Master lost, and he's trapped for all eternity in the Toymaker's gold tooth, which comes into play later.
Why has he all got he's got too many teeth as well? I found that really weird.
But so the Doctor loses, the game are cut, and the Toymaker's there like, I can't wait to see what my prize is going to be, and the Doctor's like, 1-1, best of 3.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Donna's there like, oh my god, he's obviously going to cheat, he's evil. And it's the Doctor...
pure offend... Like, the Toymaker's like, how dare, I would never. I might manipulate all of reality and, torture people and everything, but I would never cheat the rules of a game. That's awful.
Yeah, and that nice little reminder, I guess. I can't remember if it was brought up in the 60s, but the Toymaker is bound by the rules of the game.
Well, that's how the Doctor defeats him in the first place, is that he manages to not cheat, but he tricks the game into thinking that the last move is made by the Toymaker rather than him. So the games of the rules, the rules of the game have still been played. So
yeah, it's all fine.
One thing they did also, just before we move on, is is the puppet scene with the companions. I do love Neil Patrick Harris's reaction to Clara. She was killed by a bird. Like, and just the look on his face, he's like, okay, weird, but fair enough. So there's also the mention as well, another tease of there's one opponent the Toymaker would never face as well, the one who waits.
The one who he saw and ran away.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to see what that could be.
That's someone more powerful than the Toymaker.
Yeah.
And that's, that must be someone we haven't seen, or maybe like the Eternals, the Guardians maybe. But even he says even the Guardians he turned into voodoo dolls. So what's out there that's worse than the Toymaker? Yeah.
I really want to see this.
I feel like we'll get some answers very soon,
Yeah. There's going to be some form of drop to the Toymaker in that if they do deliver on it.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of teasers, to be fair, because we've had, the fact that Beep the Meep has a boss.
Yeah.
The fact that there's the one who waits. We've got that, the Master's tooth being picked, the Tooth Master being picked up with the laughs. But Russell said that there's no plans to bring back the Master yet in the commentary. He just said it's just there as a way out for the Master to come back. I really can't talk today.
Yeah, so the Master survived again, and now we know how he did. And you get that line just before. I mean, we're skipping well ahead, but Neil Patrick, the Toymaker, saying, my legions are coming before he folds up into his box.
Yeah, so he's obviously got other people out there, but there's also people that even he's scared of, and there's like some sort of chain of command of some big bads that we're going to be getting over the next couple of years with Mr. Gatwa. But we get back to unit then, and then Doctor Who puts on, I think, its best musical performance yet.
Yes, by far the best thing. Second best thing of the episode, but the best ever dance sequence.
I thought it was, for me, I was like, it's going to take a lot to top Rasputin from last year. But I think for me, they've done it.
They've smashed this out of the park. They got the right actor for this. He was bloody brilliant.
That's the thing with it, because he's musically trained as well. Like dancing and everything is top notch, but it's still quite horrific because he disappears those guards into the balloons and stuff, and Shirley catches one, and there's just the guard's face screaming in it, which I was like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. And when he's just dancing with Kate and then Mel, and he just launches him at a wall and down the middle bit.
I was like, there's a musical number here. I was like, if he starts singing, like, I wasn't sure if he's going to like take over Mel or something and have her start singing and dancing, because I was like, you've got to do a musical number. You've got Bonnie Langford in the room. You're going to do something, aren't you? Surely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was good. And then he gets control of the big
laser thing,
big laser gun at the end of the unit tower. Throws the other guards off the top of the tower, which we didn't see, but it was
heavily implied with the thud.
Yeah, it's quite horrible.
Still, nasty way to go.
We have the Doctor trying to convince him, doing the usual, look, we can travel together and play your games wherever you like. But it's not good enough for him, and he just... Pew!
I mean, yeah, the Toymaker's like, oh, I've fallen in love with humanity. You've made games of bricks falling on bricks.
Minecraft?
Mind games of dating and relationships and ghosting and everything.
Was the bricks falling on bricks? Was that a Minecraft reference, do you think?
No, Tetris, you fool.
Oh. I know, I'm joking. I'm just... but yeah, no, I love
showing my age here. Screw you.
You played Minecraft more than me, lad.
I never played it.
Yeah, you sure.
Generally haven't. I'm a Call of Duty man myself. So shooty.
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 See what we did there? Very clever. So yeah, after we get all of that, the Doctor is killed, and we finally have what I've been waiting for ages, for the Doctor to be killed in the middle of a problem and have the other Doctor. Now, before we get into the bi-regeneration and everything, I think if the 14th Doctor had regenerated traditionally just into the 15th Doctor then, what a way to go out. That last little scene where he's holding on to Mel and Donna, and he's, whereas the 10th Doctor's like, oh, it feels like dying and all, that's melodramatic as fuck. And then in this, he's, it's not dying, I'll be okay, and he's sort of reassuring himself and the others. And it's funny, isn't it, how we were always saying how awful would it be if his last words were, I'm ready to go, and I was like, oh, he's going to do it, isn't he? And then he said Allons-y, and he's like, oh, he didn't, but then I realised, what's Allons-y in English?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
They did it anyway.
they did it in French.
They just did it in French just to not confuse me. But then we have the bi-regeneration. And can I have a rant?
Yes.
Before we get to the bi-regeneration part of the episode.
Rant.
Right. If you ever spoil anything else for me, I will come and find your house, and I will take large amounts of cow excrement, hide it all around your home, and then stand outside with a tambourine doing a little dance going, ha 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 ha, because I'm sick of it. Yeah, I am sick of things being leaked. I can't remember the last big thing that happened in Doctor Who that wasn't spoiled for me.
I know.
Genuinely, it's getting so annoying now, because I'm seeing these things and it's like, oh, that was like apart from Wilf last week was the closest it's been. But that's only because I was expecting him to be in it this week. Stop leaking set photos, stop filming monitors, stop writing and transcribing lines of dialogue from the episode and posting them online. That bit with the mallet, I heard bits of dialogue from that because someone sent them to me before Power of the Doctor was even on.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see this. I want to... The earliest I want to see these things is when they're on telly.
Yeah. We get... It's an exciting time, Doctor Who's being filmed and stuff. Especially for us, we can understand bits, but
if you're walking past and you see it, yeah, sure, a couple of pictures, but don't go stalking the film crews to every obscure locations.
And there's no, I get you want interaction on your post, but there's no need to just spoil it for everyone.
Yeah,
because there are some of us who want to watch it on the screen and that be the first time we see of it. I worked bloody hard to avoid the leaks of the TARDIS.
Yeah,
interior.
I had that sent to me. That someone literally sent that to me and was like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No," and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I've seen the TARDIS, the classic Doctor showing up, although it wasn't confirmed, had been heavily rumoured and been like, well, it's probably going to happen. That had been spoiled for me. That was in Power of the Doctor, by the way.
Yeah. Obviously.
You know, the Star Beast adaptation thing was ages, like being it had been sort of hinted at for a while. You know, there was stuff in Flux that was spoilt for me. There was stuff, The Timeless Child, even Sacha Dhawan's casting as the Master, I remember being like leaked ages before. Just pack it in, for Christ. If you enjoy it, right? If you enjoy looking at leaks and stuff, make your own little groups, talk about your own little leaks, but don't spoil it for everyone else. If people want to go, oh, does anybody know anything? Message them privately, and stop messaging me privately with leaks, because I will dump cow excrement in your home.
Anyways, the bi-regeneration.
So yeah, when I heard of it originally, I was like, because this is the thing I'm talking about that was leaked, and I don't know if you heard it as well.
No, I managed to avoid this one.
Yeah, I had known that it was going to be a bi-regeneration for ages, and they were going to both be on. They were going to regenerate and sort of split.
Thank you for keeping that from me, and I really am grateful.
Well, because I am a true friend, and I don't like spoiling things for people who don't want things to be spoiled. Anyway, when I'd heard of it, because it had just been described in like the Doctor, and or they split regeneration, then they defeat the Toymaker, and then they get their own. And I was like, oh, what? But they didn't. Obviously, they hadn't seen the other stuff that made it work. Because when I first heard it, I thought, don't do it, and then he pops out, and I was like, oh no. But within seconds, I'd sort of changed my mind, because I think Ncuti was so instantly charming as the Doctor.
He's
like
captivating as hell.
He was. I just can't remember the last time we had such a smooth Doctor. You know, when he's like sort of walking around and he's grabbing Mel's hands and everything. But you know, he's just got that. He's got that Doctor spark that is sort of. You can tell it's quite dormant. It hasn't quite clicked for me yet, but we've only seen 10 minutes of him, really.
Yeah.
You know, he's got it there. He's the charm. He's got the funny stuff. You know, he's quite easy to stare down the Toymaker and everything. I liked it. I think the idea of it, in principle, didn't work for me. Now I've seen it twice, and I've thought about it a bit. I kind of behind it on the grounds that we never, ever see it again.
Yeah.
I don't want another I never, ever want to see another bi-regeneration, because it takes it away from this. And otherwise, people will expect it to happen every single time.
Yeah.
And all the Doctors can live on forever.
And it's a really nice, unique way of doing a regeneration. It's something we've never seen before.
As a treat for the 60th, fair enough.
Yeah.
But Russell was saying in the commentary that, like, in his head, and he hasn't, and people are taking this as that he said this is canon. It's not. He said, like, it's his own little fan theory about the stuff he's written that he wouldn't put on screen. But what if every Doctor is always bi-regenerated in some way? You know, that after they've regenerated, like, John Pertwee wakes up in the unit lab floor or something, and Davison's on Androzani, and the TARDIS just appears and stuff and takes him, and they all go off and have their own adventures where they grow older and things. I get that as a headcanon, that's fine, but please, for the love of God, do not make that real. I will not like that.
No, it would take away from this.
The whole point is, like Capaldi said when he's asked about it, he's like, I like the idea that the Doctor is there and then they're gone, and they're a memory, and their experiences and lessons help shape the future Doctors going forward. And there's something about, I think Capaldi just gets Doctor Who in a very traditional way. I don't think, you can put these new spins on that. I think Capaldi's got such an old-fashioned fan brain, but he gets it so effortlessly well.
Yeah, but like with this one, it really does work. You've got Ncuti being captivating as hell. That interaction with Mel, and then he's like, "You're beautiful," and then David Tennant's like, "Still beautiful."
Yeah, and then Donna has that line which I thought was a bit weird, where she says, Do you come in a range of colours and stuff? I was like, oh, that's a bit weird.
It's a bit on the nose, like.
And I don't think that should have come from Donna, someone who has a black husband.
Yeah.
And a mixed race daughter. I just thought was a bit like, that was weird, that you needed to address the fact that his colour of skin has changed. I think if it was probably done as an attempt to normalise it for the, because there are going to be arseholes on the internet, and there already have been, saying how, it's stupid to cast a black Doctor. Well, you're wrong. And I just thought it was a bit bizarre, to be honest. Yeah. I'd love to see, again, people of colour, what their opinions would be on that. I know that some people are, not happy with it, and some people have gone, well, it doesn't really matter. So, Again, what are we to judge? Look at us. We can't get more Caucasian than this.
I know. You get that brilliant scene then after the bi-regeneration, everyone's like calmed down, but not really calmed down.
Well, they've got to do the catch thing, haven't they?
Yeah, so we got the Toymaker sat there with his big gun like a kid at Christmas, and he's like, "Oh, I can do this for all eternity." So I got the fool who dies and multiplies, and it's like, "Oh, okay, I can have a field of Doctors." And then they cut him off. It's like, "Oh, we'll challenge you to a game," and he's like, "There's cheating. There's two of you. Is one of me." It's like, well, you split us. You did this. It's your fault.
Yeah, this is the other thing with the bi-regeneration thing that's making me still a little bit like I've probably at like 90% accepted it. There's just that sort of 10% which is around why has this happened? Is this because of the Toymaker? Is this because of the fact that an old face of the Doctor's come back, or is it just coincidence that it's happened with this incarnation? Could it have happened at any point before? Is there more to it? Are we going to find out more? I don't know. Once I've got my head around that, I think it'll be all right.
I mean, they may go into it eventually.
They could do. You know, the
door's open.
It's definitely open and everything. And I do think that as fun as the game of catch was, I just think it was a bit too much of an easy way to cheat the Toymaker. Not cheat the Toymaker, but
play the game.
Get rid of him.
Yeah, I was expecting
because
he's a bit more tense.
Yeah, he's had such brilliant performance so far, and he's very threatening, and he comes across that way. But to have him defeated by like losing a game of catch, it was a bit like I see it.
Yeah,
it's very anticlimactic, and I thought if you want to bring the Toymaker back, you
need him to go out in a big way.
You want him, and especially for he's the main villain of the 60th. Like
they could have played battleships with London.
Something, but anything. It could have been absolutely anything. You know, card games could have got a bit weird, could have been more action packed. You know, maybe he's like there's things on the rest of the world that's happening that the Doctors need to fix. But yeah, I don't know. That was my fault. But I do love the relationship between David Tennant and Shubi Gatwa straight away. Like I love the fact that they, usually with multi-Doctors you get a bit of them sort of like barbing at each other a little bit and sort of winding each other up and judging each other. Whereas this straight away they're just hugging, and it was just so nice to see them as mates. You know, there was a lot of that friendliness to it rather than the bickering, and that really worked for me, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got Shooty saying like after they've got rid of the Toymaker, like I've got you.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really nice, and then it leads on to this brilliant scene in the TARDIS where they finally talk about the Doctor and what he's gone through, and that he needs to stop and just think about what he's gone through, and he's never done that since the first day they met the Toymaker.
Yeah.
And beyond, probably. But like, it's nice that they finally are addressing the elephant in the room.
And I like that that's been hinted to, because we said last week, when they talked briefly about it with the Not Donna and the Doctor talking about Flux and the Timeless Children, we think, I really hope that they do actually just sit down and talk. We said that last week and it's happened. So that's really, that's part of why there'll be a bi-regeneration work, because there was no mention of that in the spoilers. It was all just, this has happened and you've got to deal with it. Whereas looking at it now, and it's the idea of, it gives the 14th Doctor time to just sit down and process what's happened amongst his friends while there's still a Doctor in the TARDIS off saving the rest of the universe. That works for me. Because it's emotional closure to this face of the Doctor, whether it be 10 or 14. There's that, he's there. He's parked, like Russell Tibbs described him as being parked and retired and everything. He's still got that TARDIS for the occasional jaunt, because he would go mad without having his own TARDIS and everything. One thing that was bugging me a little bit is the fact that when Shooty swings the mallet and the TARDISes separate, Shooty gets the new one, and I wanted him to have the original, because I always feel like the Doctor should have the original TARDIS and the copy should be given to David Tennant. And apparently Russell Davies has said that there's something next year that will put that to rest. Like, he will see that Shooty has the original TARDIS somehow.
Okay.
Which I'm quite glad about, because that was something when I watched it first time round, I was like, it don't quite sit right with me that the original TARDIS has just been left on Earth for the 10th Doctor, the 14th Doctor to have the occasional jaunt with, while there's a sort of copy of the...
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And the new TARDIS is wheelchair accessible.
I love that. What a nice scene. And it wasn't, again, it was the kind of thing that the representation of these, especially the last couple of specials, has done really well, is it's not made a big deal of. It's gone, look at this, how cool is that? And then it's not like really talking down, he's not talking down to Shirley going, well, don't you feel special now? Because you could come in the TARDIS. It's none of that. It's just, look at that, there's a ramp. How sick is that? Anyway.
How many times do you think David Tennant hit that ramp on his bare foot, though?
Oh, God, I'm stubbing a toe on that. Ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
no, because that's the thing with the Doctors. Like, Shooty's wearing half of Tennant's outfit, Tennant's wearing the other half, which means Tennant's going commando in them trousers in that scene, technically, because Shooty's wearing the underwear.
Your brain works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. I've had a long day. I always have long days. My brain is just cursed.
Yeah, but no, and there's a wonderful, I don't think it was Unleashed, it was the usual behind the scenes sort of clip. It seems to be like extra scenes from Unleashed that weren't aired. And there's a great bit of, what's the actress's name who plays Shirley?
Oh, mm-hmm.
Why do we do this every single time? Ruth Madeley.
Yes.
She talks about the inclusion of the ramp into the TARDIS, and she gets a bit emotional and was like, how it's important to be part of that change. And it's like, you watch that clip now and tell me that diversity isn't important when you're in Doctor Who, because look how much it means to people. Because it doesn't matter to you. There's certain people that go, well, I don't see what's important. So you don't, because you don't use a wheelchair. To people that do use wheelchairs, that's going to be the coolest thing, because it's their favourite show, and there's a ramp for the TARDIS. It's something so simple.
Yeah.
And so brilliant, and it's why it's just a perfect show.
It does also mean we get to see some Shirley Ann Bingham in the TARDIS, potentially, which is going to be interesting given her such scientific headspace and her inability to accept that science isn't the be-all and end-all. It's going to be interesting to see that, and I really want to.
I like Shirley as well. I think she's a very cool character. You know, she's a bit of fun, but she's clearly very capable and knows his stuff. I like this new unit setup of Shirley and Kate and Mel. I hope Mel sort of becomes as much of a regular as Kate does, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, you know, now she's working for them properly.
We've also missed out a really big new employee of UNIT.
Oh.
Donna Noble has agreed to join UNIT for 120 grand a year and 5 weeks holiday.
Of negotiations, imagine if all salary negotiations were that easy.
Oh, we'd be minted.
You know, 60 grand is quite nice anyway, but then they go, 125 weeks holiday, done. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yes, sign me up tidy. Now. So we get that, then obviously Shooty flies off to go save the universe with that brilliant beautiful theme playing.
Absolutely gorgeous theme.
I sort of watched him, I was like, when he's like sort of throwing himself around the console as you do when you're the Doctor, I was like, oh, it's just nearly clicked into place for me. And obviously, I'm saying that like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's just because I haven't seen enough of him yet. Yeah. It usually takes me one full episode to click with the Doctor. Because Matt Smith took me right up until the end of 11th hour for me to go, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. With the new Doctors in the past, they've always had 2-3 minutes at the end of an episode to kind of show you what they've got, whereas we've had good 10-15 minutes with Shooty, and you can see that character starting to develop already.
Yeah.
And it just makes me so excited to see Christmas and then the next season.
But what I liked as well is it wasn't just a case of, oh, Shooty Gat was here now, so David Tennant just takes a back seat. Like, it still very much feels like it's Tennant's last episode. And we get that lovely epilogue at the end where they're all having food at Donna's and Sylvia's there, and Sean's there, and Rose is there, and Mad Auntie Mel's there. The one tiny thing I didn't like about that, obviously you've got to explain Wilf not being there. Why is he out shooting?
Why is he out shooting moles of all things? I mean,
it wasn't just that, it was the idea of him firing, you know, the whole thing about him is he's never fired a gun and he had that revolver in End of Time. For him to just be out all of a sudden shooting moles, even if they got force fields or not, I just thought was a little bit too out of character, because in the commentary, Russell T Davies did say that scene was going to be about them talking about losing Wilf, because that had come after Bernard Cribbins had passed away, and they were just like, nah, it just doesn't feel right to... And I'm kind of glad they didn't, to be honest.
No, I would never recover from that emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, if Wilf was in a full-time capacity in Doctor Who, then you kind of would have to explain it away, but you can just have him off screen doing something else. But I could have, I could have seen him, maybe he was having a look around the TARDIS or something, or he was, if they could have done the scene at night, then he could have been up the hill with his telescope or something. I don't know, just something that wasn't him shooting his gun. Just because that felt a little bit off to me. But how beautiful is that end scene though, where the Doctor, the 14th Doctor, who is the same face as the 10th Doctor, who went through all that tragedy and didn't want to go, finally sits down, and then his last words on screen are, "I've never been so happy." Yeah. And I was like, that's really good. Okay, fair enough.
it was a really beautiful scene. It was emotional.
Yeah. It was. I think that was really good, to be honest.
It was a perfect ending. I mean, I know people are gonna, as you said earlier, like off screen, you said it kind of feels like they can't let go of David Tennant.
That was what worried me. I said that to you before, didn't I?
Yeah.
That it was a worry for me that on the first viewing, it was like just be. You can let David Tennant go. It's okay. And I'm not saying that because I don't like him. I think he's been brilliant. The last 3 has been his best Doctor Who work to yet. Best Doctor Who work to date. I really am struggling to speak today. But it's been his best work to date so far. And you can let that go. Yeah. You don't have to keep sort of going, well, we parked David Tennant just in case we need him again. And in 10 years' time or whatever, they go, let's pull him out for another 3 specials.
It's going to get to the point where it's like, 2063 as like them wheeling out David.
Yeah, it'd be there in a
Tennant
Zimmer frame or something with a sonic
Yeah.
Zimmer frame, and just be like, right, let him rest.
Go. Let him go. He's done.
I think he's done all he can with the role now. I think, and
Yeah,
in the best possible way. And leaving wanting more is always the best way to go.
Yeah,
because people have been saying, "Oh, we might get a David Tennant spin-off." No, because that would be completely stupid. Because not only does it shadow Mr. Gatwa here, it would just be pointless. Because otherwise, you would just, if David Tennant was going to agree to do 8 episodes a year as a spin-off, why would you not just keep the 14th Doctor for a couple of years?
Yeah,
it just doesn't. Yeah, don't compete with me.
I mean, it's nice to know that they probably won't now, and I think that's a good thing. Nothing against David Tennant, but I think they've gone as far as they can with his Doctor.
Yeah.
From both regenerations, but it does give them that out if they need to fill in a role, maybe for a special down the
there's
line,
nothing to stop him popping up.
Multi-Doctor story.
If there was a multi-Doctor story, there's nothing to stop him putting that big lovely blue coat on again and turning up as the 14th Doctor that's there on Earth. That's fine. I've got no issue with that.
Yeah, as long as it's not regular,
regular basis, it doesn't work.
It really does undermine Shooty.
Yeah, and to do that already before he's even had his first full episode would be a bit damaging, especially because there's that idea, because there's a bit of that you've got to think about the fact that this is the first Black Doctor as well. You don't want to sat there undermining him with, the most popular Doctor and go, he's got a spin-off, but you can also watch this other guy as well if you want. It's just no. Shoot Gatwa, you put your trust in him, you go with it. We don't need spin-offs.
No.
But I wouldn't be opposed to
We need a unit spin-off, though. I will demand a unit spin-off. Because I want to see some more Donna Noble in unit doing stuff. Because I reckon that there's a lot... She bounces off Mel so well. Yeah. As well. Like, Bonnie Langford is a great actress.
Bonnie was brilliant in this. Bonnie's a great actress anyway, and I think she was done very dirty by Doctor Who originally. But in the years since, God, has she proved herself as an actress. I've seen her in a few things, and she was phenomenal in this, and I hope they give her some, without meaning to sound like a masochist, I hope they give Mel some really horrible stuff to deal with, just because Bonnie Langford would be so good. Like, even in the quieter moments where they talk about glitz and everything, and later on where she's, talking about how she's lost all of her family and everything, just the little hints like that, I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's really good. They can go so far with this now.
Yeah, I think this has been a very strong end to the anniversary, to be honest. I will give this, for the second week in a row, a 9.
I'm going to go with the 9.5.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Ooh, damn.
I absolutely loved it.
What is it that drops it that 0.5 for you, then, out of interest?
Veganism. No.
I was really confused for a second then, because I forgot what you were referencing. Yeah. I just thought you meant in general, you were like, veganism, and I'm like... Okay, but what's I got to do with this? But then I remembered, yeah.
No, I'm joking. No, it's just nothing's ever a perfect. No, I can't see anything being a perfect 10. It's just little niggles.
Like what?
Well, Wilf shooting for one. Wilf shooting his gun, which he actively did everything to avoid in End of Time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that drops it for me. The only thing that drops it for me is that the pacing is just a little bit in places, a bit too... you don't stop in this.
Yeah,
apart from very tiny pauses.
You're taking on a hell of a ride.
I think it could have done with being a 90-minute special. I think the Toymaker being defeated so easily and the ambiguity about the bi-regeneration is just stopping me from giving it that extra mark. But if we find out more, my views could change depending on what we find out later.
And it's also just the fact we didn't spend more time in the Toymaker's domain.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just give it an extra half hour to do that.
Yeah, that would have been so cool to do.
Yeah. Especially now, because there's like that bit where the stage collapses and they're running and the whole thing is like tumbling. That looked awesome. That was really, really good.
I want to know what was behind some of the other doors. Because there's no way in hell that the guy who made the first TV, forget his name.
John Logie Baird.
Yeah, John Logie Baird. There's no way that his assistant was the first person to buy a toy from that shop. I want to see what else other people did to... And get a glimpse of the games maybe of that they played and how they lost, or see what they did play.
Well, I thought there was going to be a bit of almost like a solitaire thing, where there's the big Finnish audio called Solitaire, where Charlie meets the Toymaker and he's trapped the 8th Doctor, where he turns the Doctor into a puppet, and Charlie's forced to play all these different games, and every time she gets something wrong or takes too long, the room shrinks by 10% until eventually there's nothing there. And obviously she saves the day and everything, but I thought it was going to be something like that, maybe where they've got to play a couple of quick games, and if they mess anything up, it's just something like that would have been really cool. But
yeah,
apart from that, really, really enjoyed it. I think Shooty's going to be great. We've got Christmas special to look forward to now.
Yes,
which
5 to 6 on
bonkers.
Christmas Day, BBC One.
And it looks bonkers, doesn't it?
It does. It looks incredible. There's going to be goblins. Shooty's new outfit looks incredible.
New outfit with the new coat. Oh, that is brilliant. I love
Seeing it on the screen, that's great. I was a bit like, meh.
I always like
seeing
that.
it.
I like that.
Love it.
Prefer that to the original, the brown check coat and trousers with the orange jumper. I was like, that's fine, but it's a bit, I always think, because I see Shooty Gatwa as quite a stylish man, I thought you've got to give him something with a bit more pop to it, and then
you get that.
That's perfect. So yeah, we'll be reviewing Christmas next week. We're going to do a bit of an anniversary wrap up and talk about some of the other things that we haven't really talked about yet. There's the Daleks in colour, a few other bits of stuff on the radio, and just look back at the specials in general and talk about how well we think the anniversary celebrated Doctor Who. And then there's a week off. We're going to do, well, not for you, for us. I'm going to get a video that we recorded way back in summer to put out around Christmas, because that makes sense. Not spoiling it, but you'll find out very soon. Then we'll be back with a Christmas special, and then we're going to have a week off because we deserve it.
Yeah, we've worked hard this year, to be fair.
And then Spotify is where we'll be also, well, we are on Spotify now, a couple of pilot episodes that were just our special reviews. And then in the year, I know we've talked about it on the Spotify trailer, but if you haven't seen it, we're going to go into a proper format. We're going to have a random review each week, each fortnight, sorry, and then in the gap week in the middle will be some sort of discussion or other topic, kind of what we did before. So you'll either get, it could be some more laughing at people on Reddit or reactions or whatever. That will come in between.
More funny adverts.
Yeah, more funny adverts are definitely on the cards. But we will be doing a proper structured review every fortnight with a fun little discussion thing in between.
Yeah, leading up to the start of the new season.
Yeah, well, obviously when the new series is on, we'll go to weekly reviews, but in between.
Yeah, you're not gonna. You're gonna see a lot of us, basically.
Basically, we're just trying to fix a more of a format. We'll still be doing the same thing, but we are available on Spotify. So if you do have Spotify, please click the link in the description. Open it up, listen to a couple of the episodes on there. Give us a 5-star review. Leave us a nice little comment. Just subscribe to us because it just helps us out.
Yes. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. If you have any opinions about anything we've gone over, or any opinions of the episode yourself, please drop them in the comments below as well. We do love reading through them and having a discussion.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing a couple more, maybe some comment reading in the new year as well. So if you want to get them in, and we'll talk about them properly on there on a video, you know what to do.
Yes, and follow us on socials.
Yes, please do. Is that everything?
Yeah. Ish. Maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question?
No. Say bye.
Bye!